in these vulnerable moments where something that we had a false sense of security in is stripped away from us, that we fall back into temptation, we fall back into sin, and we fall back into the things that God delivered and saved us from. Hola, j'espère que vous allez tous bien. My name is Kira Mai, and I'm back after a really long time, but God has been calling me to do this for quite some time, and I've been restless about it. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about my experience and my very difficult challenges with unemployment, my career, what I'm doing in life, and how I've been letting God be God and just kind of guide me through it. Because at the end of the day, there's no rule book to this life thing. I don't really know what I'm doing. I spent 2 years unemployed, and in the meantime, or during that period, I was showing up for myself, I was working out, and I was growing closer and closer in my relationship with Christ, and I was growing to become the woman that I've always wanted to be. I found a church, I started going consistently, I finished school, and then I had little side opportunities for financial gain, which was great. God has always provided me in that regard. But I was really looking for something more stable. And of course, to have a solid 9 to 5, although a lot of people talk down on it, there is that stability that is almost guaranteed. The amount of energy that I was putting towards something that was temporary could have been put towards something that is more fruitful and everlasting, which is my relationship with Christ and Christ himself, like learning more about God, being more strengthened in knowing that he is truly love. So despite the uncertainty and the confusion that I felt in the beginning when I was let go, I couldn't be happier, because thanks to that I was able to grow closer with my family, and I got to go back to Cameroon, and I went on a solo trip to Ethiopia, and I did a myriad of things that I wouldn't have been able to had I still been committed to that 9 to 5 job. I'm not in a rush to go back into a job, but I am, and I was in a rush to meet my financial goals, because I had very, very ambitious goals. It almost feels as though there's this invisible clock. Like the clock keeps ticking, there's this timer, and I need to achieve certain goals financially or what have you before a certain period. And of course, these are arbitrary goals that I've set out for myself, but I think that it's also important to be able to provide for yourself and to have a level of security. Through this period of being unemployed, again, even though I gave it my all at my last job, it had everything to do with the fact that God genuinely wanted me to go back to him. I no longer was praying in the way that I used to when I was unemployed. I no longer took time for myself. I wasn't feeding and pouring into myself the ways in which I used to when I had that free time. There's only so much time in a day to dedicate towards your extracurricular activities and things that will actually help you become a better person. But when you're committing 40 hours of your week, not including commute, because when you include commute, you're probably looking at more like 60 hours, depending on how long your commute might be. That's 60 hours that you're dedicating for the entire week towards something that, yeah, sure, it pays the bills, but it's costing you your life. And again, my relationship with Christ was definitely dwindling. I wasn't showing up as intentionally as I had been before. I genuinely believe that God has allowed for me to be let go from that opportunity so that I can refocus on him, because ever since I've been doing that, I have been in a state of genuine peace and calm. I haven't felt that in a very long time. In spite of all of what I've given, I can rest in knowing that I don't have any regrets, because I gave it as much as I could, and even if it wasn't enough, that's none of my business. I genuinely don't care. And I'm just very, very glad that I'm able to refocus on what matters to me most and dust off all the things that I put off, whether it be my baking business, whether it be my relationship with Christ and being more intentional with it, whether it be working out. That's something that I've always genuinely loved. And I wasn't working out anymore, which made me feel bummy, and I wasn't eating all that healthy, and God knows why things didn't work out, and I can rest in that. I'm okay with that. I have that perspective because I was stripped of that false sense of security. I found security in knowing that by the end of it, after every 2 weeks, I would get a steady paycheck, and I saw my account steadily increasing, and that gave me security. Because when I set out that very ambitious goal at the end of the year, I said, this is very doable. I'm right on track. And when I hit the halfway mark, I'm like, oh yeah, for sure I'm gonna hit this goal. But when things came to a halt, that's when I was humbled, and I realized that I was more secure in seeing the paycheck come in every single week, but God really did strip me from that. And I think so often we believe that just because we have a job that we're safe, when in reality these people will replace you in the blink of an eye, and they won't think twice about it. They don't care. I'm in HR, so I would know. I've definitely seen people smiling and grinning only to fire you the next second. And I think, yeah, also just being in HR and seeing how people move from the very beginning, I'm like, oh wait, I went into this field because I had a genuine desire to help people and a genuine desire to be of assistance. Come to find out, there's a lot of politics that go into it, and my experiences have not been all that positive. I've seldom met very genuine people, you know, people who are actually kind and not just nice, because there are a lot of nice people in HR. That's their job. But there have been a lot of moments where people will smile in your face and then gut you. The amount of times that I've heard of, you know, gossips taking place, and I just kind of breeze through it. I go through it, and obviously with conviction, I don't partake in those things because I'm a God-fearing woman, and I'm not going to partake in gossip because I know that it would come back to me. Needless to say, it was an environment that wasn't great for me, and what really was keeping me was, again, that false sense of security, that false sense of financial stability for even a brief moment. God again saw that I was sacrificing my time with him in order to show up for this job. I didn't realize how much my identity was tied to my title or what I did or the kind of company that I worked for. It gave me comfort in knowing that I'm doing something, that I'm, you know, a working civilian, and that I'm contributing to society somehow. But I didn't actually care about the title or the kind of company. I was very interested in the field because it's fascinating and it's something that we're surrounded by. But to be quite honest, it wasn't something that I gave too much importance to. Like, whenever people would ask me and I would mention it, I'd be proud of what I did, but it wouldn't be my entire identity until I realized that it was starting to become so. Your job may provide you financially. It might give you brief comfort, but God truly is your provider. He's the one who provided that job opportunity. He's the one who gave you that project, who gave you that connection, who gave you whatever it is that you have, and he can take it away. With me being in the situation that I'm in right now, I'm very, very appreciative that I was able to still build a stronger faith, because if it weren't for that, I probably would have crashed out. If it weren't for that, I don't know what I would do. Just based off of my personality, it's so easy for me to escape. Escapism has been my outlet for quite some time. I'll just book a flight, I'll leave, I will, you know, gather my thoughts on the beach somewhere. I'll be in Europe, or I'll be in Africa, or I'll be somewhere, but anywhere but in Toronto. And that hasn't necessarily been the most healthy way, and I'm always going to be the type to travel, but I think that it's very important for me to face things head on and not to run away from my problems, because it's not going to solve anything. If anything, the problem will either remain or exacerbate. In this season of unemployment, and I'm learning to wait without panicking. I'm learning to not be restless. It's hard at times because what am I doing? Like, what is this? Why are we here again? When I had an opportunity and it came and went, like, what do I do in the meantime? But going back to him, reading his word and being faithful and trusting that he really is working behind the scenes is what really carries me, because I wouldn't want to go back to that environment anyway. When I was working, things were tumultuous and they were loud and they were busy and they were chaotic, and there were seldom moments of peace and tranquility, because I always had either a deadline or a project or an email to send out that I was thinking about. How am I going to say this? How am I going to say that? How am I going to bring this up? That's really what builds anxiety. That's really what leads you to feeling as though you're overwhelmed. But in this moment of peace and quietude, I can focus on God, and I can focus on trusting in him and crying more and being more honest with him and journaling more and appreciating the time that I have with my family while I still have it, because it's not something that I'm going to be experiencing for the rest of my life. And had it not been for God stripping me away from that, it would have definitely challenged me in a very negative way, and I don't know that I'd be as strong and resilient as I am now had I continued on. Spiritual maturity comes when you're waiting without panicking, when you're truly resting in faith. Applying to 200 jobs in a day and getting rejected to every single one of them will cause even more panic and even more stress and even more anxiety. Do the work, because faith without works is dead. But you have to be faithful. You have to be at peace, knowing that whatever happens, whatever answer you get, it doesn't define you. It doesn't represent your worth in society. It doesn't mean anything other than it's too small of an opportunity for you. And that's one thing that's really, really helped me. It's not foolproof, but one thing that's really, really helped me, especially during the 2 years where I was unemployed and I was applying for jobs, was thinking that every single rejection was basically an opportunity that was too small for me. Anytime I got rejected from a job, God wanted more for me. Anytime I got a thank you for applying, we've received a lot of applications, they weren't good enough for me anyway. And you could call this delusion, whatever it is, I don't really care. But all I know is that it helped me, and it helped my sense of self a little bit, because taking on too much rejection isn't healthy. But remembering that God has more for you, every single no is leading you closer to your yes, God's yes. I think that's also something that is very much a blessing. I'm speaking from a place of privilege, first of all, because I'm still with family. I love my family. I'm with them. And to be honest, until I'm married, why not just stay with them? Of course, I've had the desire to move out and everything, but I've had brief periods of time where I was able to move out for X amount of time, and it was great. And then I come back and I'm like, oh my gosh, I miss my family so much. Not everybody has the ability to move back home for a myriad of reasons. Not everybody has a good relationship with their family, and that I understand. But if you have the opportunity to stay at home during your season of unemployment, or if you're unemployed and you have to move back home, go in with a fresh perspective. I think that it's also very important that even though you're coming back home and you might feel like you're regressing, to change up your environment, change your entire bedroom, your closet, purge yourself of what is old and to embrace what is new as you're waiting for God to show up with a new opportunity. Do that, because by completely eradicating yourself from the old, you're going to be able to build something new. You're going to be able to rebuild strength, resilience, being able to see that what God is doing is good, no matter what it might feel like or look like. He knows what's best. That is really what's going to strengthen you. He will always provide, and you should always, 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 always know that God is working, and that there is absolutely no universe in which He will abandon you or He will forsake you. I don't feel like this is a loss. I genuinely feel like I've gained so much, but I know that for the next opportunity, I will be even wiser. I will be even more mindful, and I will know not to compromise my relationship with Christ, and to dedicate time to Him first and foremost, and then do everything else after, because I was doing the opposite. And again, I do believe that that genuinely affected my experience working at the company that I was working for. No job, unless it's to advance the kingdom of God, unless you're doing the work of the Lord, none of it matters. Knowing that you have what you have, the talents that you have, the intelligence that you have, the wisdom that you have, the opportunity that you have, the network that you have, you don't have that outside of God, and you can easily strip it away. So rebuilding my faith in quietude has really been paramount to this entire journey of uncertainty. I don't know, I can get a job within a month, or I can get it within the next 6 months. I don't know what it looks like, and I don't necessarily care, because and I'm coming from a place of privilege again, because I'm living with family. I don't have bills to pay. I don't have mouths to feed other than my own. I don't have kids to worry about. I don't have pets to worry about. So this is just my truth and my experience. But if you have these things to worry about, of course, I could understand why you would feel a little more inclined to panic and to be worried and anxious. But it doesn't add a single day to your life. As Jesus said, it's not going to help you in any way, shape, or form. There's hope in the future. It's only a matter of time before you find a job. It's only a matter of time before I find a job. Simply a question of when. In the meantime, prepare yourself, strengthen yourself, embolden yourself, build a new skill, and do what you can to hustle and to not be defeated, because that's what the enemy wants. For you to be defeated and lazy and to give way to sin and your vices, because it's in these vulnerable moments where something that we had a false sense of security in is stripped away from us, that we fall back into temptation, we fall back into sin, and we fall back into the things that God delivered and saved us from. Don't forget who you are, because in this moment He's reminding me of who I am, outside of the title of HR this, HR that, outside of the kind of company that I work for. That does not matter. I was who I was before that, and I'm who I am after that. My identity isn't lost because I don't have a job anymore. Now it's a little more understood that the economy is just really, really bad, and there are a lot more people who are unemployed than ever before. But I think it's also very important for you to remember that even though, yeah, you might be part of a statistic, it's not your identity. It's not all you are, and you still have so much to give. And I'm bigger than my resume. I'm bigger than my titles in the past and my future titles. I'm bigger than the firm that I work for. These things don't make me. I'm an addition. That's why they hired you. That's why they hired me. I am a daughter. I'm chosen, and I'm blessed, and I genuinely believe that it's only a matter of time before I find the opportunity. Actually, it finds me. Okay? okay? It's only a matter of time before I find the opportunity and that it finds me. God has refined me and softened me, and I have so much faith and hope in the future that I think maybe makes people, especially my family, uncomfortable whenever I tell them I don't really know what the next step is. I don't know. Do I want to continue in HR after what I've seen? Is that the path that I want to continue, or is that where God wants me, or will I be doing something else? I think it's simply a matter of listening to him, and I can only do that if I spend intentional time with him and I yield to him and take heed to his advice, because he knows best. I really know nothing. So for all those who are also going through this period of transition, if you will, who are, feeling uncertain, they feel lost and abandoned, they feel rejected, you're not alone. You're not alone. And if that doesn't bring you comfort, then I think that it's very important that you find comfort in knowing that this is just temporary, and that God will always, always, always find a way, and he will not forsake you. You had that opportunity, and I bet you the next opportunity will be even better. Why would you regress? And even if you find yourself in a position where you're working a job that you deem as less than, it's probably to humble you, one, but it's also to remind you that there's always something to learn regardless of where you're at. If you end up being a fry cook at Burger King, there's something to learn about customer service, about being polite, about being patient, about being a good cook. There's something to learn regardless of what you're doing. And so just remember to see this opportunity as a gift of peace and a gift of tranquility before you dive back into the chaos of your 9 to 5, if that's what you want to do. So if this resonated with you, please let me know. If you have any tips on how to navigate being unemployed for a long period of time, what has helped you, please share it, because it'd be helpful for me. I don't know how long this season is going to be, but if you have any tips, share it for other people as well, so that they might be able to take heed and to apply those things in their life and make the process of job searching a little less daunting and a little less depressive. Because the rejections, the constant rejections, it's no easy feat, and my heart is with you. We're in this together, but just know that it's only temporary and it'll build you stronger. Your rejoicing will be louder than your cries and your weeping. I'm sending you all love and grace and positive vibes, positive energy, because we got this. We're gonna get through it, and when we do, it'll be for God's glory.